Welcome back to another edition of Dante's Discussion Answers. That's right, we're answering the question that I posted last week. The question that is, I guess it's a little bit more for me than for most people, but I think most people will find it interesting, some of the builds people have seen or come up with. But anyways, the question is, what is the most unique PvP build you have ever seen? As you can see here, I posted this question also on a video on YouTube and FextraLife, the forum, Dark Souls 2 forum, and a lot of people came up with answers. Now, before I even start, a lot of people actually came up with answers for Dark Souls 1. A lot of Dark Souls 1 fanboys, it's fine. But this was for Dark Souls 2, so sorry, I will not include any of those responses to this, as it's specifically for Dark Souls 2. Anyways, I mentioned a few things in the video of some unique things I've seen, and you know, we'll see what other people say. But let's start off on FextraLife. And Johnny Harpoon says, I'm not sure what swear word that's supposed to be, but I'm gonna be blank and say my own Kestis Bone Fist build. It's definitely not the only one I saw, but it's pretty dedicated to a big boss, close quarters combat cosplay, and used it in a unique way. There, I said it. Now, if you don't know who Big Boss is, and I'm assuming he means Big Boss from Metal Gear Solid. Metal Gear Solid 2? I'm not sure which one it is. But that's awesome. I think that's freaking great. Like, he's cosplaying and using a semi-unique build. I mean, it's unique in that you don't see it often. I mean, I don't see people using any type of fist weapons at all, even claws, whatever. So, I mean, the fact that he's switching from one Kestis and one Bone Fist, I think that's pretty cool. So next we go to YouTube. Kyle Lilly, Xbox Live's Lord Relic, says, probably the shield guy that we've seen, but there's also another I recently saw. Some dude rocking the Chaos Rapier. You'd think it's just, it'd be just R1, 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 blah, 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 right? He literally read my movements and knew where I'd roll, backstepped, and opposite direction, and just kept punishing me over and over. I never thought a pokey stick could be viewed as skilled. GG to that guy. Lord Relic, come on. How many times have I poked you to death? There's skill in there. I mean, obviously, this guy, he's using a lot of punishes, but I feel like there's ways around that, as in, if he's using these punishes, then don't get punished, right? I mean, don't roll like you would normally roll, maybe. I don't know. But I think maybe that build isn't necessarily too spectacular. I think it's more of his play style, which is fine. I mean, the play style is pretty cool. Anybody who can beat Lord Relic has got to be pretty decent at the game. That's all I can say. So we go to Legit Games. He says, you can go 1,000 different routes in this game with builds. Personally, I think Vanquisher Seal builds are pretty interesting. Now, this is another, you have to get 50 awesome stones for the Covenant that makes the game harder. What is it, Championship Covenant? Anyways, if you put this ring on, it makes your fists, bare fists, do more damage. And I have seen very few people use that. So, you know, I do like that build. I do like builds that no one uses. Rarely are they very effective. Usually pretty easy to parry. A lot of people do the punch roll thing, but usually you can kind of get out of that, especially if you have a shield. FNAF Secrets, or FNAF, says Bone Fister with Great Resonant Soul. Now, one thing I do like about the Bone Fister with Great Resonant Soul is if you get too close, you're getting stunned and you're getting beat up. You go too far, you can go Great Resonant Soul. If you what I think you might be able to do with this build is you can punch, throw a Great Resonant Soul, and maybe roll catch them, and that's a lot of damage. So I can see how this can be very viable for a lot of people. Let's go back to FextraLife and say Calcifer says, I shouldn't tell you exactly what his stats were like, or I couldn't tell you exactly what his stats were like, but I met a legend on the bridge who was exclusively using the Dish Chime. Already I'm a fan. No miracles, just melee. He was hitting for over 600 damage. Maybe not the most viable build, but it looked like a fun change of pace. I love it. This is one of my favorite responses. I love builds like that. Now, like he said, maybe not the most viable, obviously. When I actually did a video where I used just a shield, and half the people I fought, I actually won a few fights, but half the people I fought didn't realize that you can't hit somebody as they're shield bashing. So if you do that and people don't know that you're going to do that, because a lot of times you don't, you're trying to attack, you can shield bash them, get maybe 600, 1200 damage, and that's already usually more than half their life. So that's incredible. Like, I love that. It will work on some people. I mean, the fact that he was only using that's really tough, and I'm sure he did win some fights because it also blocks, obviously. And I mean, you can parry with it. I doubt he was parrying, but if he was, he's still probably bashing with the shield because 600 damage. Come on, that's ridiculous. But I love that. That's awesome. So good. Next, we go to Worm Hero. I have a Gwyn cosplay at soul level 150. He's pretty good when doing Blinding Bolt. What? Sunlight Spear, and uses a Fire Ruler's sword. I love the Ruler sword. It's a typical pure Faith build and uses some pyros like Great Combustion and Chaos Storm. This is awesome. Firstly, Sunlight Spear. Okay, I don't. Who the hell gets hit by that? Great Combustion. You can use that very well. Chaos Storm. You know, I can see using that well. But what I'm very interested in is Blinding Bolt. What? The only thing I could sort of see that being effective for is if you can throw it behind them and sort of make them come close to you. That's the only way I could sort of see it working. But man, Blinding Bolt, I don't know. I'm actually happy and excited that somebody uses that. NPC Invader says every build is unimpressive after using a fast rolling iron flesh build. Fast rolling iron flesh build, I have seen this build many times. I don't really know how to do it. I don't understand it. I've seen it, and I've destroyed these people because they thought they can take hits. I wear the stone ring, and yeah, I don't know. It's never been too impressive to me, but I'm sure if somebody is also really good at the game, then it is good. I don't know. Forum Pirate says, I'm not going to mention the most unique build I've seen in Dark Souls 2 because I don't buy the special snowflake garbage. Okay, Forum Pirate. Fine, Mr. Fancy Pants. I'm going to mention the most interesting, and that's fine. That's what I want. Interesting, unique, whatever. It's in similar vein. I don't know if it still works after the stun lock nerf, but it's got a Drake Keeper's Great Axe in one hand and a Grand Lance in the other. Some light armor set and probably a lot of vitality. Naturally, it abused the lance backstep attacks, but its main goal was to land a L1 and an R1 Grand Lance, R2 counterattack to insta-kill whoever it hit because 450 plus 700 plus 900 is fatal to everybody. Of course, that's fatal in lower soul memory or soul level. But yeah, I can actually see how this really works out. But I'm a little shocked that you didn't use maybe a faith weapon, or maybe you can use a faith build, you can use the, well, I don't know if the thorned greatsword will be as effective as the axe, but if you use it with faith and you also use the Haze Knight Grand Lance, I can see this also being effective and maybe even a little bit faster. I don't know. Obviously, there's many different options you can go with this, but no, I liked it. That's awesome. I mean, I think getting the initial hit with the Drake Keepers is a bit rough, but if you get that, then obviously this is devastating. Very reminiscent to Wombo Combo with the chicken wings, as people call it. But Plauto says he found a similar Stunlock build in the arena a few days before. Guy had a Black Knight Ultra in one hand and a Chaos Rapier in the other. He was using Sacred Oath and Fire buff on the Ultra for maximum damage. Now, I like this because the Black Knight stuff already does fire, so he's sticking with the whole fire theme here, which I think is awesome. The combo was regular double R1 Stunlock with the Ultra, and then immediately 3 hits from the Rapier. I have seen this, and when you get hit 3 times with anything, you're like, what the hell? I can't move. I can't do anything. So this is 4-hit combo, and that is brutal. The first hit was part of the previous Stunlock, so you couldn't do anything about it. You were able to dodge the second hit, but the third hit would hit you immediately before you could roll again due to latency. Now this, part of the fast plus slow weapons, roll catching and such, wonder if there's a way to parry through that. I don't know. You probably don't wake up fast enough for that. But I love it. I mean, this reminds me of a build I've seen where people just use two scimitars or scimitar-like weapons. And they can do the slash, slash, and then slash, slash. And a lot of times you can't move because even if you roll, you get caught, I guess. And then it sort of restarts the combo. And sometimes it's rough. Really, your best friend in that instance is them losing their stamina, because a lot of times you can't do anything about it. Unless, of course, you know it's happening, which you usually do, because if they have two scimitars, then it's happening. That's what they're going for. Let's go back to YouTube. This guy ran around naked with a ladle and nothing in the other hand and would hit people and do like 0 damage. Already, I love it. Ladle. I already know that this is, like, reading this was already, like, before I read the rest of it, I was like, all right, this is a troll guy. He's looking for a parry. And then he's like, then he would get a parry and pull out dual power stance chicken wing and one-shot people. Absolutely love it. I love it. You know, these are one of these things where it's risk versus reward, but the reward is so damn high, and it's so worth it. You know, because you're not going to be able to get a parry on everybody. That's just the facts. So, you know, I don't know, even if he was the best parrier, maybe he was 50% of his fights he was getting a parry, and it's rewarding. Like, even if you lose 50% of the fights, it's so rewarding to get that other 50% of chicken wing, boom, attacks, wombo combo. Oh, so good. Then he goes on to say, a close second would be an S-stock Shoto dual wield build. Now, I've seen similar builds with rapiers, not necessarily the S-stock. I think the S-stock is good enough on its own. That's all I'm going to say. But with the Shoto, they both pierce through shields, which is awesome. And I can see how that's very effective and very cool. And the Shoto has the awesome running attack. And then the S-stock is just completely awesome in every aspect. So yeah, that's a pretty powerful build. Alfie987 says, full Havel gear with an ice rapier. Classic. Mirzy says, just because you mentioned the parry flame swath, I will have to mention a few things. I was going to put as a submission to the Sunlight Blade's top 10 pyro kills, a very deadly combo I like to call the cremation, and Kane Mickelson was there to witness the birth of it. So what it is you parry him, flame swath, Forbidden Sun, boom, outcry, over 2,500 damage. Incredible. I love the cremation. I love the name of it. As far as creativity, I watched a video recently of my friend Turtle Lovin', who had combos for days with the Monastery Scimitar, right hand, and Bone Fist left hand. But I love my Pay the Bridge Troll build for Arena on the bridge. Parry walk to the side and Bone Fist them, 1 or 2 hand strong attack, then go flying off the bridge. He is a true troll, or true bridge troll. Say that 5 times fast. And that's awesome. I've seen a few bridge trolls in my day, and some of them did have Bone Fist, and you knew what was coming. You knew never to go to their side. You knew to wait, go straight, block, do whatever. But even still, blocking, you're still going to be sent back. So it's pretty good. The bridge can be a real dick sometimes. That's all I can say. Then we go probably to my favorite, my last and favorite, the man who laughs on FextraLife. I love this because he goes in so much detail. But let me read it in full so you can enjoy it for your ear holes. I can think of at least a dozen ways I've been creamed by creative invaders in Dark Souls. Maybe a handful in Dark Souls 2. But the question is PvP, so let me think. I dueled a Dragon Bro 10 times once, lost 9 times, and that one, I'm guessing he won one, who was performing some crazy skills in that Sanctum crossbow from the Sunken King DLC. Now this crossbow is, I believe this is the crossbow that can shoot the 3 burst and then the 1 big shot. I could be wrong. I know there's 2. I can't remember what the difference of the names are. The person was naked aside from headgear and arms, and used the crossbow with a combination of AoE spells and urns. I love when people use urns. I've lost a fight with an urn hitting me but not exploding, like, that sucks. Because you don't know where the hell the frames are at all. Mostly hit me with the force when I got close, which they were quick to follow up with the bow or another urn. Crossbow, chime, all speed, was even punching me with the chime, which did scary damage, danced around me like a pixie while I whiffed left and right through every trick I had at them. Only won because I actually touched them, and it was so close I just stood there and exhaled, flabbergasted. I played against some good players before, but I'd say this person was the most unique. One-handing, two-handing, dodging into a close quarter shoot, or unpredictably making me think they were and dodging back for a delayed shot instead. Sheesh! Never left mid-range, very aggressive, would shield break me, earn me, super burst, rinse, repeat. I must have changed my style and swapped weapons every 2 losses or so. They had an answer for each amazing player. No idea what their stats were, but I could guess on the rings, and that may be the that had endurance for miles. Incredible. I love the story. I love the fact that there's somebody like this has happened to me a long time ago, but man, finding those people who just destroy you, and not only destroy you, but consistently destroy you, and not only consistently destroy you, but consistently destroy you with something unique. You're like, what am I supposed to do against this? He's freaking throwing urns and it's working. Sometimes it happens and it's awesome. I love it. Like, even if I lose, I'm like, wow, that was sick. Sometimes I get parried in a weird, unique way and get destroyed. I'm like, what? This was awesome. Like, I lost, but I was like, that was awesome. I saw something new. I saw something creative. I saw something great. That is awesome. That is what I love about this game. A lot of, unique things can happen. People do a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of it is combos. And so a lot of it is like parry combos, right? There used to be that thing. I think it's nerfed now. I can't remember, but you could parry somebody and you can shoot them in the face and keep stun locking them and shoot them until they were dead, basically. I don't know if they have that anymore. I haven't seen it. It's never actually happened to me. But there's so many unique things. One unique thing I will say, probably won't say it's the most unique thing I've seen or unique build. A lot of builds are similar in their uniqueness, if you will. But I actually did a video on the a unique build, I would say, of myself, and it could work with any weapon, but I used the terrible Mace of the Insolent. I'd use the Ring of Restoration. I would use the Ivory King Crown. I would use also the Charred Lois Shield, and I would use Soothing Sunlight, and all these things combined would replenish my health pretty decently. So I used that in a build to sort of outlast players. Now, I could have, technically with this build, been a complete jerk and just would maybe swing, run away for like a minute, heal up, and so on with this, just waiting time. But no, I try to be a fair fighter. You can watch the video in my YouTube. But I thought because the Mace of the Insolent is such a bad weapon that it would be pretty cool to sort of balance it out. I like balancing, so such a bad weapon, I decided to try to balance it out with all this restoration stuff, because I know, one, I'm probably not going to get many hits on people because this thing is terribly short and slow and ugh. And two, because I'm wearing all Lion Mage and garbage gear, every hit I take is going to do so much damage. So I thought it balanced it out quite fairly for fights. And that's something I sort of do with bad weapons is, if I have a significantly bad weapon, like, I don't know, let's say the Lucerne, even though I'm sort of warming up on type halberds things recently, the Lucerne is something I might maybe wear better gear for because I think the weapon is not as great. And this Mace of the Insolent build that I did a video for is quite, I mean, I don't know if it's unique. I mean, it's just a super healer type guy who only uses dumb spells and this stupid mace that sucks. I mean, the mace on paper looks awesome. I mean, it does, regular physical, lightning, and dark, while it can throw out some fade spells, but realistically, it's really slow and terrible. That's one of the most unique builds I've done and I've seen. I've seen some Pyromancy builds where I'm like, oh, that's cool. but a lot of it is sort of the way they've played was awesome rather than, you know, their build being specifically unique. And yeah, I mean, that's about it. I hope you really enjoyed some of these people's answers. I really appreciate everybody, you know, trying to think of what they've seen was crazy or interesting or awesome. And I hope you stay tuned for all my other questions and answers. So like, comment, subscribe, tell me what you think, and I will be back